am I upset about something today? And am I killing a deal that is actually a deal? Or, is there something that I could have done more to help this person? It's a live person that I'm talking to.
Yeah.
So there's, I think...
I mean, whatever mentality, whatever mood you're in will reflect on your phone calls too and talking with your clients. And so your positive mindset and your enthusiasm for the deal or for the business or what's happening, that will carry on over to them. Your enthusiasm or lack of enthusiasm.
Hey, this is Blake. I'm bringing in local experts from my circle of influence and then have you all get to know them a little bit better. Without further ado, I wanted to introduce my guest, Jayden Cook.
It has been too long, man.
Yeah.
You're my OG lender. It's good to come full circle, be back with you. Good to see your smiling face. You always bring such a good, positive energy, and that's good to see you again,
Thanks.
man.
Yeah, man. Good to see you. So, just for people that don't understand and don't know, I want to give a little background about how we even, knew each other, came across. And so,
Okay.
My experience is me being a mortgage lender. Gosh, it must have been, 5 or 6 years ago now at this point.
Longer.
Yeah, that we actually, came across each other, and so I think our companies were starting to intermingle a little bit. Tell me what you recall about, meeting up for the first time. Like, what do you remember about our relationship?
Oh, man.
And how we came across each
Yeah, rewinding the clock back to when I was a young, spry 22-year-old. That's when I got my real estate license, yeah. Well, I first got into the business just as a ISA. I never intended to even get my real estate license. That wasn't the goal. I was going to school for accounting, which is not a good fit for me whatsoever. I don't know what I was thinking. But I was going to school for that. I was in between jobs, and I saw Joe Herrera with Joe Taylor Group. He posted something on Facebook about an ISA opportunity, whatever that means, right? But it's going to spend time on the phones. You want to make a lot of money. That sounded good to me, right? So I ended up working there as an ISA, making calls, scheduling appointments for real estate agents. And I remember a particular moment when I was doing that, because I did that for about 2 months. One of the agents that just got paid got a check for like $10,000. I'm like, I think I could do something like that. I think I could do that. So I decided I was going to jump in and get my real estate license. And once I got that, our preferred lenders at the time, or it was low VA rates, Elevate Mortgage, Blake Law. So he's my first lender. The very first deal I ever closed in my real estate career was, Judy Chambers, with this guy right here. He's my OG lender. I still think that, it's been a while since we've done a deal together. Unfortunately, we got to change that. But I think that you're still the lender I've closed the most deals with.
For one lender, baby.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking
we
about.
had good synergy, man. So we got to get back on the saddle for
You know
sure.
what's funny about Miss Chambers is I remember, structuring this deal to help her purchase a house. And at the time, it was what struck me kind of like as odd, or not odd, but just unique, was that I believe she was living in a hotel.
She's living in La Quinta.
Yeah, she was
off 95, and she's dropping coin every day to live there.
And I'm like,
wow.
holy mackerel. I mean, we were trying to figure out what her mailing address was. 'Cause there's some things you got to check off the box.
Yeah.
We got to prove you are who you say you are. We got to prove you live where you say you live.
Yeah.
We got to prove how much you pay, all that. So I remember that was a very unique situation, and she was elated when we closed. We actually came to the closing table together at Chicago Title. We were both there for her. She gave us a little gift bag after. I mean, just
Starbucks.
Somebody so appreciative.
She was. Cool. And we have a picture of that. I have it on my Instagram. I should show the camera.
What the heck, man?
Yeah, I'll show it to the camera.
We'll get it later.
Okay.
A little younger me. A little younger you.
22, Jayden. I'm a baby face, man. If I shave my beard off, I can look like I'm 16 still, though.
So, that's how we kind of, came across. And I'm going to back the truck up for a second because I want to know, you said ISA, and so that's inside sales agent,
Correct.
right? Where, kind of for people who may not know, there is an element to this business where you try to break it down and make it as simple and easy as possible. Kind of like, I don't want to say an assembly line because there's more people skills involved in that, but you're trying to simplify tasks to make it just flow and go quick and, have as much results. How do you think that prepared you in doing that? I know you only did it for a couple of months and, saw big bucks or whatever, but how do you think that prepared you for what you've been doing since?
That's a great question. I think it prepared me very well in the fact that I was immediately jumping on the phones and calling people, which is everyone's least favorite activity to do in real estate. No one likes to hammer the phones and call people and bug people. It can be really intimidating, especially for someone that's just starting. But I'm naturally not very shy, and I'm not afraid to call. But being able to jump in and do that as my bread and butter all day long, I'm dialing leads, setting up appointments. That really catapulted me to where when I got my real estate license, that wasn't even intimidating to me anymore. I can go on the phones and I'm happy to do so. And in fact, presently, that's still my bread and butter. I hammer the phones, which we can talk about later, but what I'm up to these days, of course. But I'm still dialing every single day. And that really set the foundation for me to be able to do that and be comfortable with it, and do something that not a lot of other agents like to do.
Yeah. I think that there's an element of what I do too is that it ends up being a contact sport. It's a numbers game a lot of times, right? So like the more contacts you have, the more people you encounter, the more situations you're in. That's actually like I appreciate doing what I've done is I'm licensed in a lot of states. And the company I do mortgages with is, they market directly to consumers in all of these different states. And so there were times when it was super busy that you're talking to literally 50, 100 people a day that are actively considering doing a deal with you. You know?
It's nuts.
So it's not like once a week you get somebody like a live one, like your pretty little pet, and I want to take care of it. It's like, this is like, a lot of opportunity, and it helps you hone in on your skills.
Definitely.
To like actually put it into practice and go on. So you started that, you got licensed, a couple months into it, starting seeing some dollar signs. Like, what do you think was the biggest? I don't know. I think a lot of people think real estate agents, mortgage lending, there's all these dollars, there's all this money flowing around. What do they do? But what do you think is like a misconception of
I think a misconception in real estate is that you can make a lot of money not working very much. And it's the exact opposite. If you're going to be successful in this business, you're treating it not like a 9-to-5, like it's a all day, every day kind of thing. You get out what you put into it. Just like you said with contacts. If I want to sell a certain number of houses, I know I'm going to have to be hitting those phones all day long. So I think that's a huge misconception that, one, everyone makes a ton of money because the statistics say, I believe, that 20% of agents do 80% of the volume of transactions. Oh, yeah. Maybe that's the same in lending as well. So not everyone's doing well. I saw something a couple weeks ago that in 2024, 70% or 75% of real estate agents in the United States didn't even sell a single house. So big misconception there that every real estate agent is rolling in it. And that's why you got to be very particular about who you pick as your agent, right? Because we're not all created equal. That's probably my biggest misconception.
Well, I was just going to say, too, if you don't mind me jumping in, is I was talking to another friend of mine, and she had said something very similar. It's about like what type of value you can provide to your people, because there are real estate agents that just get licensed to help a family member, and that's it, and that was justifying it for them, and so I'm sure the stats are probably similar for real estate agents as mortgage lending, but I think it was something like 60% of the people that were licensed last year didn't renew.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Like in mortgage lending, right? Because we're at a point now, we're at a juncture where it's like, you thought it was going to be easy.
This ain't 2021 anymore, is it?
And it's not. It's probably somewhat similar over there in the real estate world.
It is.
But yeah, so I appreciate having this connection with you. I thought it was really fun and really interesting. And I think there's something to be said about the group that you're with, too, in the way that they try to simplify it. They try to make the most out of every single lead opportunity. And for those that don't know, there are agencies who kind of let a real estate agent go do their own thing. And then there's agencies that really try to hand feed their agents, whether that's with lead opportunities of people who want to list or sell, or all that type of stuff. And so I think that just the contact game is really how you can refine what you're doing. So from there, what have you said that, or what have you done since? I mean, like, how has that progressed on your journey? I mean, this was years and years ago.
Yeah, man. So I was just on the Joe Taylor group working those leads. I didn't have any kind of much of a sphere of influence or anything like that. So I was converting the Facebook Messenger leads that I was getting, and that was going pretty good, right? I rode that COVID wave 2020, 2021, where we were just slinging deals left and right, right? And I actually stepped away from traditional real estate for a couple years. Did I ever tell you that?
I mean, like, we got time.
All right, bro.
Let's freaking
all right.
go in.
So I started working with Taylor Prince on the acquisition side
I
of
think
things.
you did.
Yeah, I did that for Best Ready Offer.
Keep going. Let me tell me about it.
Yeah, and it was fun. I did that for probably about 8 or 9 months, but I really just missed this part of real estate. I missed taking clients out, helping people buy and sell homes as opposed to doing the property acquisition. It had its cool things, but I just really missed this. So 2022, I spent the majority of that year doing the acquisitions. So I decided I was going to transition back to real estate, normal real estate in 2023, which was a totally different year than what 2021 was, right? So what I left and what I came back to were entirely different markets, right? That's when the interest rates were shooting up. Everyone was...
Fin City.
Oh, yeah. No one wanted to do anything. And not only that, all my leads I had in my pipeline were all gone because I was doing something else. Right. So naturally they got reassigned. So it was like starting all over again in a different market. And now I have a mortgage. You helped me buy my house. Yeah. So you know that. So now I have a little more responsibilities than I did when I first had my real estate license. In 2023, man, that was a tough year for me, man. And I'm grateful that I was able to go through what I did in 2023. And we can talk about the hardships or whatever that was. But it helped me become the agent that I am today, the person I am today, because there's a lot of adversity, man. I went in 2023 on a 4-month stretch of not closing a single deal. And I was like...
That does wonders for your ego, too. I mean, like, not your pocketbook, but you're like, am I even doing the right thing?
Yeah, I'm like, what the heck, man? How am I going to provide for my family? Is my wife going to think I'm a loser? You know, I was kidding.
Hold on. So did we close on your loan on your home in 2023?
We closed in 2022, and I remember
Thank goodness,
you were
I was like, dude, you gotta keep closing loans.
Well, no, it's so funny because you're like, I had like a 3.125. That's what I was going to close on. I don't know if you remember, my cabinets got stolen out of my new
I do,
building.
and it delayed.
Yep. And you're like, you know, we got to get this closed. And you saw something coming on the horizon that I wasn't super aware of. And I remember my rate got bumped up to like 3.25, and I was pissed. I'm like, what? It went from a 3.125 to a 3.25. What is going on? Man, that was very short-sighted because just a few months later, the rates have started jumping up, and I got super lucky, and I'm very grateful, Blake, for my 3.25.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Baby. I mean, on the rate conversation itself, I don't even know what. Like I began saying, yeah, rates are going to be higher for longer. Everybody, again, rates are higher for longer. Doing a little bit of reverse psychology because I've been saying they're going to come down. They're going to come down. I've been doing that for years. Now I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Rates can be higher for longer. We got to deal with it. And I think that having this sort of like mentality of, oh, it's the worst day ever and nobody can afford anything and all of this. That really doesn't help people in our industry of like trying to find success because there are people out there. In fact, I heard today, I love stats because I can never prove it, whoever said it, but this is a really good one.
Right.
And that is that, about 40% of the mortgages outstanding are at below 4% interest rate.
That's great.
But the alternative, though, is that 40% of mortgages probably are okay, but that means 60% of the outstanding mortgages in the United States are higher than 4, which for me, I'm like, wait a second, that's a huge piece of the pie,
totally.
Right? I mean, 60% of mortgages at a higher rate than 4%. We're talking dollars now because people are constantly they're buying, they're selling, life goes on,
and they're not so concerned about their 2.3% interest rate that they have. They're willing to maybe do something. They don't have that. Right. That's the problem that I've seen when I'm trying to prospect is everyone's married to their 2 or 3% interest rate and they don't want to let it go.
Yeah. There's some of that. I think that people I talk to, you got to come at it with like rate is a part of the conversation, and that's something that we deal with. But also, it doesn't paint the whole financial picture. And I've used this example recently. Actually, there's a new one. Just 2 days ago, we had this clear to close on a couple that did have a 2.75% fixed rate. But they were getting hammered on their freaking credit card debt. They paid off solar, they paid off credit card, they paid off all of this other stuff. And these guys were on fixed income. And, like, the thing about fixed income is that's what you get. Yeah. That's it, right? And so the fact is that the rate is important, but these folks, by doing this, they actually improve their financial situation by hundreds of dollars every month, which that's, like, at this point, that's eggs, You can buy eggs at this point with all that savings, right?
If you can buy eggs.
Woo! So yeah, I mean, not to get super sidetracked or off. I mean, there is some of that people, fencing. I did want to ask you about, being in the brokerage that you're at. What is it like? Because for those that don't know, Joe Taylor Group, they're great. They're powered by Real Broker. They have like different arms to what they do. You said property acquisition. They got it's like a full service shop. But what I admire about what I see is that there's a continual production of content, but it's like positive momentum forward. So just being in that environment, like how has that influenced you? And by the way, tell me about it, because I don't know the inner workings of it. All I see is like what's posted online, and when I talk to agents, they're all stoked about it. So like, tell me, like, kind of give me the secret sauce.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's good to have positive, good role models and leadership around you. And Joe Taylor, great. Angie Lauer, she's the team leader over there, and she's great. She's a phenomenal agent, right? She leads the way, and she leads by example. Yeah. And she can show us, other agents, what's possible to do, even when times are a little tough. Angie will close 30, 40, 50 units a year, any year, no matter what the market is. So,
just yesterday, she was like, in the past 10 days, she's got 3 listing contracts, right? I think.
Nice. Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, just within the last 10 days, and I'm sure it's this lead machine that she can talk to. She's got great enough people skills. Anyway, this isn't about Angie, but she's great. Yeah. I mean, how does that influence you?
That helps. It is, like I said, the positivity and the path forward, just to show what is possible, instead of people getting in their heads about, I can't do this because rates are too high and no one's buying. I need to go do something else. There's definitely a path forward. There's so much money to be made. You just need to know what to do and how to do it. And so that's a nice thing to be on a team like the Joe Taylor Group. Now, I am not in the office much these days. I'm actually 100% now. I'm still affiliated with those guys, and I'll get some leads every now and again, but mostly I'm on my own these days. But that environment definitely helped foster a positive mindset and was a proving ground for me to know what I'm capable of doing in this business. So despite a hard market or when things slow down a little bit, I have enough confidence in my abilities from my experience and what I've been able to learn, on the team, and just going through different kind of market cycles now that I'm not worried about what's coming.
That's a good mentality to have, because I find myself in the same situation. I have a choice to make every single day. I can wake up and be mad at the world that interest rates are high, and then that translates to the people that I talk to. And I think I'm really good at trying, within the first 10 seconds of talking to somebody, diagnosing what's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
But I also think in the back of my mind, a lot of this is my approach to this, and am I upset about something today, and am I killing a deal that is actually a deal, or is there something that I could have done more to help this person? It's a live person that I'm talking to. Yeah. So there's I think some of that value is like your mentality on doing this can make or break it. And
totally.
So,
and your mentality and how you act, I mean, whatever mentality and whatever mood you're in will reflect on your phone calls too, and talking with your clients. And so your positive mindset and your enthusiasm for the deal or for the business or what's happening, that will carry on over to them. Cool. Enthusiasm or lack of enthusiasm.
Yeah. So you're backing up a little bit. You spent time with those gang of guys, great people, great group, a lot of respectable agents. Mm-hmm. Now you're 100%, on your own. Is that? I mean, tell me how that. I mean, how is that going?
It's going pretty good, man. I think I'm going to have my best year that I've ever had by far.
Hallelujah. Heck yeah. We're in 2025,
2025, and rates aren't 2 or 3%, but I think I'm going to blow any other year that I've had out of the water. And I'll tell you why. So remember how I was talking about that period of about 4 months where I didn't sell a single house? It was like do or die, man. I'm like, I'm either going to sink or swim. Now, I never finished that degree I was telling you about that I was working on when I got my real estate license, because the money started coming in. I'm like, what am I going to get a degree for, man? I'm going to do real estate. I should have finished the degree. It's not bad to have in your back pocket, but I have not. So in a sense, I've kind of burned the ships. I'm stuck in real estate, man. So it's either do or die, sink or swim. And I was going to swim. So going back to my roots, as an ISA and being on the phones, I wasn't getting leads at the time, right? And it's not any fault of my brokerage. It's just like no one was responding on those messenger leads. No one wanted to buy a house. So we weren't getting anything. And that was my bread and butter. That's what I did. I converted leads. I didn't have any kind of SOI. Yeah. I didn't really work my any other kind of lead source, so just kind of relying solely on them for any opportunity that I had. So when that all dried up, and I'm like, I don't know where my next deal is going to come from. And that was such a sobering reality check, man. So I just decided that I was just going to start circle prospecting, super raw cold calling. So I got a Mojo subscription. That's a dialer for those who aren't familiar. And I picked up my last house that I sold. I drew a mile radius around it, and I just started calling people. And I'm still doing that presently. And that's picked up a lot for me. I'm getting a ton of business from that. It took a long time for it to get going. The pipeline maturity for something like that. It's not like internet lead that will convert quicker. I mean, the turnaround time for these is probably going to be like a year or two. Yeah, right. So my first 12 months of doing that, I think I closed about 5 or 6 of those. This year, shoot, man, I think I'll probably be somewhere between 10 and 20 units sold from that. Not to mention any kind of repeat business I have or some other things that I'm working on to get some more more leads going. Awesome. But so yeah, that's kind of what's keeping me afloat right now, man. Just hitting those phones hard, dialing, and building up that pipeline.
But here's what I want to know is this is kind of the purpose of why I'm bringing people in here and talking to them about them. So like being a Vegas expert and stuff, like what is it that's special about you? And I want you to brag as much as you can. But I mean, not all agents are created equal, and sometimes a customer's going to get a phone call and then it'll be like scam likely.
That's me.
They're like, all right, get out of here, right? Cold calling me, this real estate agent or this lender's cold calling me. Like, what the heck could they possibly give me? Like, what is it that they want? And so, I mean, just turning it around is like, what do you think is special about the service that you provide? And it, not to really like put you on the spot, but I mean, like, how do you differentiate yourself? Because there's quite a selection out there from real estate agents.
Totally, man. That's a great question. I think when people are buying or selling a home, that's like one of the biggest transactions, the most amount of money that they're going to be messing with in their whole lives, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it can be really stressful. I think something that I do good for my clients is I make it a really fun, enjoyable experience. I like to bring a lot of enthusiasm. I like to get them hyped up and just to make a stressful or a potentially stressful situation be as hassle-free as possible and an enjoyable experience. I consider myself to be a very hard worker. I think I go above and beyond whatever I need to do, for my clients, show them as many houses as it takes, make sure they have a good understanding of what's going on, what kind of offers they need to make, just keeping them very well informed and communicating with them about every step of the process. So I think those are some things that help me to stand out. I think that I'm very good at facilitating relationships, not just with my clients, but with listing agents, with inspectors. That way, everyone involved in lenders, that way we can have
at this point,
lender. But that way, having good communication and a good relationship with everybody involved in this process just really makes for a smoother transition, as opposed to, being hard-headed. I get that a lot of agents, you're supposed to be advocating for your client and doing what's best for your client, but I'm also a team player. So whether I'm on the listing side or the buying side, I'm working with the listing agent and the sellers or the buyers and their agent to make sure that both parties are satisfied, that we can move forward and get the deal done. Yes, we're advocating for our clients and trying to do everything we can for them, but they also hired us to sell them a home or buy a home.
So my thing is maybe not a lot of people know this, but you actually also helped me close on my current house.
Yeah.
So that was a good time. Mm-hmm. And I can just say from experience of like, this, I bought, another house before, and this one is, I don't even know. It just seemed like there was a lot more, it seemed like we were searching for something that we didn't know we needed or wanted at that point in time. And there was a moment where it felt like we needed our hand held a little bit, even though like I do this, even though I read contracts a lot, I get it, but so I just have to, brag and say that, it did smooth a lot of stuff over for the anxiety of making that purchase and, the vision of like what we were looking for and having it all come down. And after the fact, you even came over to like our housewarming party, I think, right?
Yeah,
no, it was my daughter's
Zosha's birthday. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
It wasn't a housewarming, it was a birthday party. So, but speaking of family too, I mean, didn't you, like, you got bags under your eyes? You want to explain why?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So I have, as of today's Wednesday, right? I'm losing track of the days. 3-week-old baby. All right. My first baby girl, her name's Josie. She's an angel. She had a little bit of a rough night last night. But that's baby number 3, man. I got my 6-year-old boy, Will, my 3-year-old boy, Morgan, and now I have my baby girl, Josie. And I think 3's good.
Hey, congratulations, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And then, as far as like family life goes, like how do you think that this, being an expert in real estate, how does that like support your family life?
Oh, dude, it's the best thing for me. I'm so blessed to be in real estate. One, that I can consider myself to be among like that 20% that can sustain themselves with this kind of business. I haven't had to get like a different job or anything like that. So that's huge to be able to provide that kind of income. And being self-employed is risky, right? Because you're not being paid a salary or anything like that. The income potential is great, though, if you can figure it out and you can put the work in and be persistent and give it time and patience. But the other thing that I love is that I can generate all this money in business from the comforts of my office downstairs. I could be in my pajamas calling and no one even knows. They're probably thinking they're talking some hot shot in a suit, but really
on Wall Street.
Yeah, but really, in reality, I'm just in my pajamas talking to them on the phone. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's edit that part out.
He is. I'm dressed in the suit. I'm looking good. Don't worry. But it's nice to be able to be at home because I feel like I'm not missing out. My kids are there. I take my son to school every single day. I'm picking him up often. I can spend time with my wife if I want to because she's at home too. It's nice just to be in close proximity and have such a good work-life balance when it comes to that. Super blessed. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. So, just to piggyback off of that and give you my recent experience is that, it's no longer gangbusters like it was back in, the golden days of like the 2 and 3% rates, right? So what that's done for me is allowed more time being present. And I think my children are at such a pivotal age, and especially with Zosha, being able to be there more. Like there were times where you being so busy, you're at home, but you're not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like constantly, the battles of like, you're really taking a call, you're really doing this, and I'm making notes and I'm, typing everything out. And like even having an office at home is like, that it's just been a lot better. And even for right now, actually, I don't know if you know this, but so my wife has started also doing like tax returns, and so like she's.
I think I saw something on Facebook. Yeah.
All right, cool. So she, she's all credentialed up. It's the busy season, obviously, right? Like, and so this just kind of perfectly plays into this whole microcosm of like last year, this year, a couple years ago. Slowly, right? So she's all busy, from like morning to night and all this. And now it's me. Like now I'm the guy, I'm Joe Schmo that has like more time on my hands for breakfast and making lunch and picking up and dropping off. And it's
dad
just
duties. I love it.
Yeah. But I think my experience too is that, having this sort of flexibility is very key. And I think at this juncture, my children need me.
Yeah.
And so I think you're right. It is a blessing, So you've been doing this for many years. And is there anything that kind of bugs you about the industry? Okay, I should say this. Spill the tea. Like maybe what is it that you don't like, or maybe some pet peeves about like real estate, or maybe other agents, or in choosing one, right? You don't need to like name names or anything. But what are some pet peeves that you think you have?
Oh man. There's a couple, right? Nothing super crazy. I think it's funny when I go on Instagram, right? And real estate agents love to pretend to be flashy. No offense to those people out there, but they like to pretend that they're so flashy and hot shots. In reality, they're not doing any kind of business. It's like, I feel like real estate is very image driven and there's a lot of vanity involved in it sometimes, and it's just not my thing. So that's kind of a pet peeve.
Another, as noted by you being in your PJs.
Yeah, shoot, it's all good. Another pet peeve. Isn't it the worst when your client just betrays you, man? It's so cutthroat out there. I'll be talking to clients. I was on a listing appointment last week, and some other agent called him the day before my appointment with them, and he thought he was talking to me. He was like, "Wait, is this Jayden? Aren't you coming over tomorrow?" He's like, "No, I'm not Jayden. I'm someone else."
Yeah.
So it's very cutthroat, and there's times where your clients end up going with somebody else.
Actually, let's paint that picture. Let's talk about the context here, because there is. I could see some sides of this. On the client-facing side, I think their question they're always trying to answer is like, well, what am I getting out of this? Well, what am I doing here? Am I finding value? Am I in this person that's helping me? Do I really know this person? And then on the, our side of things, like with this client and this customer that we're talking to, are we providing that value?
Right.
Do they know my name? Do they know my phone number?
Right.
Am I saved as a contact?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do they know who they're talking to?
Yeah.
Did I spend 2 minutes with them where I could have spent 10, where they actually knew what my first name was before I said, okay, I'll call you back. My name is Blake, right? Like, were there proper introductions made? Do they actually know what that is? But also setting the context is that I think why you're saying this could be a pet peeve is because we're in an industry where, commission based, obviously. So it's incentivizing us to help as many people as we can, because if we don't, there's no income coming in.
Yep.
And so when a deal closes, or when a house closes, or when a mortgage closes, that's when income changes hands, right?
Yes.
So before then, we invest all this time into trying to make the situation work. We invest this time. I think in your case, you go out touring homes, right? Like you bring people to a spot. You're investing in them.
Yeah.
And to have this sort of, I think you said the word betrayal, it's like it's kind of like, hey, I thought we had a thing going.
Yeah.
Like
I thought you
we
loved
were
me.
dating. Like, why did you stand me up?
Was it me?
Yeah, like, was it me? Like,
Uh-huh.
I took you out to a nice steak dinner and you never called me again?
No, what's
like,
up with
what
that?
the
Hurts
heck?
my heart. Hurts my heart.
And I see both sides of it. And so for us, I know we understand that it's a numbers game and that you're not going to help every single person you talk to. But on the customer side of things too, is like they got to make sure that they feel the value of what we're bringing to them. And
Always a learning experience. There's when you go through stuff like that, if you lose a client, whether you feel like it's justified or not, there's always some reflection you can do. Like, what could I have done better to get that client?
Or have them remember me.
Yeah.
I actually have an example from yesterday. I was talking to another partner of mine, and we had helped this client, obtain a pre-approval, understand what the finances were going to be in the situation, and then my partner had come up to me and was like, "Hey, I think they totally bounced out on both of us," and so I'm like, "Oh, okay, I guess, like whatever." I was like, "What happened?" Like, and he goes, "Well, yeah, I guess he talked to a different real estate agent, and then this real estate agent had their lender guy that was talking about a different program."
Oh boy.
And sometimes customers they don't see these they don't. Anytime they hear something new, they're like, "Oh, that's the shiny thing I want to go to now."
Shiny object.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, okay. Oh, you have a new program." And so if they talk to somebody new, we're probably talking about the same thing that they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just they feel like it's a new shiny thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's just constant.
And props to those other people that are making the calls and putting the sales on them. I mean, that's.
There's some knowledge there that we have as to how we've structured things and how we know there are certain programs out there that can help people, and there's certain limitations, which is why we aren't going down that route. But then they talk to somebody else who doesn't have the full scope of things.
Yeah, and then he's like, "No, I can do that.
I can
for
do
you.
that.
That's
I
not
know
a
a guy."
problem."
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes consumers are hearing that, right? Clients
people
are
love to
hearing
hear that stuff.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh,
they don't
you
want to
got
hear
me."
anything bad. They
Right.
don't want to hear about the potential obstacles to get a home. They're like, "Oh, this guy says the path is clear."
Right, and
Yep.
it is a numbers game, and so this is constantly something that I think we try, but also at the same time we got to understand we put our best foot forward.
Yeah.
We explain everything the best that we can, spend as much time as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're not going to help 100% of the people we
No,
talk to,
lose them
but
along the way.
maybe 95 is the good goal.
Hey, that's
maybe
good.
we get
Yeah.
95% of the people. You know,
Yep.
so yeah. The purpose in bringing you here is that I wanted to brag on you a little bit. I wanted to showcase you to your group of people, and also my group of people, that they know that we have people we like in our circles that are experts that take time to help their clients and their customers. So beyond that, do you have any what's coming down the pipeline for Jayden? So do you have? You're doing your sphere of influence thing. Is there anything else that's important to you outside of even the work? What's coming down the pipeline? Not even real estate related. What's all Jayden about these days?
Oh man, what's Jayden all about?
Obviously, great haircuts, big muscles, bench pressing, curls. I mean, you got everything going for
man. Oh, I need to hit the gym more, Blake, to be honest, man. But no, I mean, I'm just super excited for what this year's going to bring, because I feel like it's going to be a level up for my business. And most important to me is just my family and being able to spend time with them and give them the kind of life that I want to provide for them, taking them on fun trips and, giving them what I want to give them. I take my role as a provider very seriously. I want to give my family the world. And so being able to have such success in real estate will help me to be able to provide that for them.
Okay.
So I'm actually about to be starting Google PPC leads that I'm paying for now. I got a text right before I came here that my website's up.
So tell me, explain everything. Like, give me the rundown of this thing. So pay per click from Google. You got your website. You're optimizing your SEO, right? Like everybody's gonna know who Jayden Cook is.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, how does that, like, what all that entails?
So, I haven't even really begun to play with it too much yet. It's still like in the beginning works, but, I reasonably expect from people visiting my website and putting blogs on there and sharing the links with my current database and other people I know, I expect, hopefully anyway, that I can be able to get a deal a month from that at least. It might take a little bit of time for the pipeline to mature, but in combination with that, my circle prospecting I'm doing, my repeat business, and then friends and family that I have. I feel like with those pillars of leads in there, of people I can help out, it's going to set me up for a lot of success. Okay. So that's kind of where it's at right now, man. I've got the kids now. I got 3 of them, and they have mouths that are ready to eat, right? So I got to keep it going, man. I got to keep it going. And it's good to be, it can be stressful, right? You know what it's like to be a provider, to have a family, but the pressure is good. Pressure makes diamonds, right? It's good to be able to have that kind of drive behind you because that helps you push for new heights. It helps you get out of your comfort zone. And, I'm grateful for all the experiences, good and bad, that helped shape me to who I am today and what I'm doing. And I love it, man.
I think actually you said that when you helped us with this home purchase was, I'm like, man, this is like gonna be like a really high mortgage payment, and you're like, means you gotta work, dude. Like means you gotta keep going. You can't now you got an actual reason, of like showing up every day.
Yeah, you got to. There's no choice.
And you said the same thing actually when we were doing your loan and for your home purchase. You're like, man, this payment. I gotta now. I actually have to do this. It's like a lot of pressure, Like I gotta do it. I just worked out, so far.
It always does, man. It always does.
I think there's something to say about freaking yourself out, where you get kind of skittish, and it's tough to navigate those waters, and then eventually you look back and you're like, what is that was a nothing burger.
Totally. We paint scenarios in our mind, and if we entertain negative thoughts and bad thoughts or worst case scenarios, and we just think about that, then that becomes our reality. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen. If we fill our minds with positivity and positive mindsets and self-belief and confidence, that's going to carry over well. And, you talked about this a few times in the course of our podcast is numbers. When it comes to real estate, numbers is my religion because the numbers don't lie. You can rely on the numbers. I know that if I make X amount of dials, I should have X amount of conversations, which will lead to X amount of pre-approvals or listings, which will ultimately lead to sales, right?
Yeah.
So if you hit your numbers, you can take confidence in that. If you're not hitting numbers, then you can start to be a little shaky. But that's what I would encourage any agent that is just starting out or current that wants to get their business better. The numbers don't lie. So figure out what your numbers are for what you need to do to hit a certain level of production, whatever your goal is, and stick to those numbers, and everything will work out. Just be persistent, patient, work hard, and trust the process.
I actually appreciate that because there's an element that I've done that, in the same is that my mortgage company I do mortgages with, like there's a consumer direct model that we have incoming leads, you have X amount of conversations that leads to yada yada. It's all mapped out.
Yeah.
So on your side of things, how do you get those numbers though? Like who taught that to you, or like can you fill me in? Like if I want to close, or if I want to have like one sale, that's dog water. Let's talk about if I want to have like 4 sales a month. Like what do I got to do, and how do you work backwards, and like explain that to me.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it ultimately depends on your lead sources too. Some agents do open houses. Other people are crazy like me and want to do raw cold calling, circle prospecting.
Crazy.
Other people, I'm a psychopath. Other
Scam likely. Scam likely.
My number's been reported, man. I know it.
It has?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was doing the property acquisition, some dude, I don't know what happened. I got flagged and my number wasn't working. So I was texting from my email.
Oh,
it was so weird.
I remember actually.
You remember that?
Yeah.
You're like, what is Jayden the Joe Taylor group texted me? Yeah, so it was so weird. Luckily, when I changed carriers, it fixed. But yeah, it was weird, man.
So a little side story about that. By the way, how this happens is that, because it can happen from your desk line, it can happen from your cell. somebody can report anything.
Yeah.
Like if you have an ex-girlfriend, like, you know, you can report that number as spam likely or just, you know, something. And it goes to the carrier, and the carrier can decide whether or not to mark your number
Really?
without any real evidence. And it takes a long time for them to receive your, like, they can do it like that, but then when you fight it, it takes them a long time, and they don't even have to do that. So
Well, they're playing ping pong with me. I was calling, who was my carrier at the time? AT&T. Apple and AT&T were playing ping pong with me, saying it was the other person, right? Other person. Go talk to them. Go talk to them. It was a nightmare.
I mean, that's exactly how it is. You got to like submit a request to the carrier and be like, "This actually isn't a scam. This is like
I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah,
I feed my family, dude.
Yeah,
come
like, come
on,
just block me and move on. I guess.
Help
I don't
me
know.
out, man. Yeah, yeah.
All right, we got on that
But
tangent.
I
What were we
know.
talking
So
about? Okay.
going back to breaking down the numbers of what you need to do. You know, people can read online. There's a lot of very brilliant, insightful minds out there, much smarter than me, that depending on whatever kind of lead generation source you want to focus on, they can let you know typically industry averages of how many conversations you need to have and what you need to do. Certain number of open houses you need to have, number of dials you need to make, number of contacts you need to have. Depending on that lead source, that will lead to a deal. Okay. And I don't have those numbers right in front of me, but for whatever it is, you can definitely find all that information.
So you basically like reverse engineer.
And that's what I did. Like when I was learning how to circle prospect, you know, my brokerage, I love you, Joe and Taylor, but you guys did not want me to circle prospect. They want me to work the leads. They always crapped on my circle prospecting, you know, and that's okay. I know they want me to work what they got for me. But I had to kind of figure it all out on my own. So I watched a lot of, you know, YouTube real estate agents, you know, industry leaders that focus on these kind of things, and I took a lot of notes. You know, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Follow proven ways of getting things done.
That's probably why Joe and Taylor were like, dude, do our formula. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
you know, like, come on. Like, we got this built up already.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I'm going to watch TikTok because these guys are really smart. These TikTok hackers. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. I like pulling your chains. So
it's fun. You know, I was just telling my wife this is so funny. I'm like, Ashley, I'm so grateful that during the COVID era, I wasn't dancing around like an idiot on TikTok trying to get people to buy a house for me. You know, remember all that? Yeah. I'm like, hey, no offense to you TikTokers out there. It's not my thing. I could just imagine looking back at my videos from 2020 and just be like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? Let's delete all these.
But I will say, back in 2020, I'm pretty sure you were built like a truck, man. Like, you were working out every day.
Dude, I was pretty jacked in 2020 and 2021. Like, more jacked than I am now. Yeah, I need to hit the weights again.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Okay, so I just wanted to bring you in, highlight you, let you know I appreciate you, give you some love a little bit.
I appreciate you too, Blake.
Yeah, man.
My OG lender, man.
Yeah, okay. I like that. So as you wrap this up, we've talked about what you're doing for this year and beyond. Seems like this is going to be a stable thing for you, and I'd love to help you out where I can.
Yeah.
But also, any way that you want to tell people, how can they get in touch with you, and like what do they need to do to like have Jayden Cook help them? Like, where can they go? What do they do?
Yeah, well, hey, anyone is welcome to give me a call or a text, 702-569-0566. I'm going to be having my website. I need to get the URL out so I can send it out to everybody.
Maybe
but
I'll
you can
put it on
find
the
me.
video.
Yeah. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Shoot me a DM on there too. I'm not hard to find. Just look up Jayden Cook. You'll find me.
Oh, I thought the handle was like big muscly man with nice hair.
Well, that's not me.
That's
a different guy.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Some imposter.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
cool, man. Any last words for anybody out there that's listening? What's all Jayden Cook's brand and what's all this about? Anything?
Man, I just want to say that whatever you want to do in life, believe in yourself and put in the work. Hard work pays off. Tenacity pays off. Consistency and self-belief are so important. So whatever you want to end up doing in life, whether you want to be a real estate agent or you want to start a business or whatever the case may be, the only thing stopping you from achieving your dreams is your own limited mindset. I truly believe that. We're capable of doing so many great things, and you just have to be able to believe in yourself, surround yourself with good people, and you can accomplish things that you would never even think you could do.
That actually translates, that just goes beyond real estate, and I know that's what you meant. It's like, it really is whatever you set your mind to, you can do, which, going back to, why don't you finish your dang accounting degree, So you can do that. But anyway, I think that those are really wise words of, helping people with no matter their circumstances or situation. There's an element there of belief that you have to have and faith, and then also you do have to struggle. You are going to take a step back and potentially fall down, but it's really how you pick yourself back up and how you
Get
learn
back
from
on
it.
that horse, man. Don't ever give up. The only time you truly fail is if you give up. Other than that, if you keep getting back on your horse and you keep trying and keep going, you're never going to fail. You will ultimately succeed.
Okay,
100%.
I'm going to call you and have you say that to my son, because
Okay.
apparently he doesn't want to hear from me.
I'll talk to Oliver. What's he doing these days?
He's very smart. He's a little too smart for his own good, and I know all parents say that about their children. But I mean, the guy's at a point where, and Will's going to get there very soon. So he's at a point where he's very aware of his surroundings, and he knows what buttons to push. He knows how to hide things like eating snacks. He knows he knows where it's all at. But you got to give him credit, because I think that there are very few children his age who appreciate reading like he does.
Yeah.
We know that he understands all the curriculum at school. It's just a matter of applying, I think he just thinks it's boring. I think he just thinks he knows what the math is. He knows how to figure out the problems. He doesn't even want to show his work. He does the work in his head, and he just writes the answer.
All right, why am I going to make this hard?
Yeah, I know. He's like, and it's, remember when we were in school, they were like, you're never going to have a calculator with you. And we're like, now, so I think there's some element to this where he just kind of understands what's going on, and he's at the point where he's like, do I really got to do this? Why do I got to do this?
Hence, too smart for his own good, huh?
Too smart for his own good. And the same thing with Zosha. I mean, she surprises us every single day.
Yeah, how's she doing, man?
Dude, so a couple of days ago, Mondays we get a homework packet for both of our kids, and so we sit down on Mondays, do the homework. And a couple of days ago, Zosha has this little pencil grip where you got the pencil and she sticks her fingers in.
My son has that too.
Okay, cool.
Morgan does
so
that.
it's helping her to grip the pencil, and that's one thing that she needs help with. But then on her homework packet, it had like traceable numbers, and this is the first time I've ever seen her do it, where she actually held the pencil, held the paper down, and then traced a number, which was like 85% accurate.
Wow.
And I'm like, that is something we're like super shocked at. Like, we send her to school, and there's social interaction that we know that happens. She's got somebody at school that can help her. But then to see her actually like trace something it was mind blowing. We've never seen that happen before.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Probably brought a tear to your eye.
Yeah, I yelled. I was like, I yelled at Kasha, and I said, "Get in here!" Like, yo! And so she gets the phone out. She's like, "I saw."
Man.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
it was
so
just
cool.
amazing. So we're gonna let Zosha write her own story. We don't know where that's gonna end, or how far that's gonna go. But we're just gonna cheer her on and keep supporting her. And same thing with Oliver too. He's special in his own right, where he's also going to get as much love from us as we can give.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I'm happy to hear that. Your kids are so cute. You
Thanks,
got a
man.
great family, man. And I do want to give you a shout out too. You've been pampering me this whole time. I want to say a couple things about Blake too. One of the reasons why I love Blake so much, man, is he's similar to me in the fact that like we're just people, and I know that any client that I send to Blake, I'll kiss you after this if you want. No, if I send clients to Blake, I know that they're going to have a great experience with them. He's such a hard worker. He's a whiz with the numbers. I don't know if you've ever really... I've never had a deal go south with Blake. I can't say that about all my other lenders, but Blake gets it done, and he is so good with my clients. Everyone has great things to say about Blake. I've referred my own family to Blake. I bought my house of all the lenders I've worked with. I bought my house with Blake, so you're in good hands with him.
Even your spouse's family, I think, too.
Yeah. You helped my in-laws refinance.
Chris and everybody, yep.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the kind words, man.
Of course.
I do pride myself that if I send out a pre-approval, those guys are going to close. It's
getting done.
Like, those guys, I've covered my bases. Like, that is a good deal. So, anyway, I appreciate the kind words, man. Well, good. Look, man, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. I look forward to just having this budding relationship, and it was so good to reconnect with you, and that's really what this whole series has been about. So, let's get some
Thanks
more
for
going.
having me. I appreciate it. Let's do it.
All right.